So, hello everyone, welcome to Exampur. I hope you are doing well. So, please hurry up to join the session and please do share the session as well. So, yes, Divya, very good afternoon. So, I think history session of ancient history of Tamil Nadu State Board. I think this is your first class and this is our first class, we can say. So, first of all, please do let me know, am I audible and visible? Please once do let me know, am I audible and visible? I hope I am audible as well as visible. Okay, so please do hurry up, join the session. Please do hurry up, join the session, and please do hurry up, share the session. Yes. So, first thing, you know that first that in the Tamil Nadu board, we have numbers of books, just like NCERT. So, just like NCERT, we have a Tamil Nadu board's book of social science in of polity, history, geography, economics, science, and tech even. Okay, not science tech, only science. Okay. So when we study ancient history of Tamil Nadu board, because toppers suggest that yes, this book is good and this book is that. Okay, but what about when you analyze itself, then you find that yes, this book is really helpful for your prelims as well your mains examination. Why? When you analyze your previous year questions paper, when you analyze your previous year question paper, then you find that yes, the number of questions in the ancient history basically uh, almost I do not say all of the questions. Almost questions is being asked from your Tamil Nadu board. So the importance is huge, but you have to study very selectively. And I am here because there are numbers of data, there are numbers of irrelevant data are there with respect to suppose we have a first topic of the mm, beginning of the ancient history to Indus Valley civilizations. So in this topic, in this chapter, we have numbers. We can say the datas are huge, but you have to read selectively. You have to study selectively. And if uh, when you go through this book, then you find that yes, this is the we can say this book is very important for your prelims examination. Okay, because the terms which is mentioned in this book, which is very important, the terms and the concept which is basically mentioned in this book. Okay, so Vivek, very good afternoon. So let's start the session. I will go through a very selective in mode because there are numbers of data. But in this first session, I will go through the. I don't want to start with the stone age. I don't want to start with the Indus Valley civilization. First, I will go to the how reconstructed the past. How? Okay, so I will first go to the reconstruction part. Before that, I will go to the what is ancient history or beginning of the ancient history. Okay, so what is ancient history? Basically, I will be discussing this particular session. Okay, so Vivek, Swami Shekhar, very good afternoon. So first, I will be dealing with the beginning of the ancient history. Beginning of the ancient history. Okay, beginning of the ancient history. Beginning of the ancient. Beginning of the ancient history. But before that, before go to the yes, you definitely start with this session because actually this is your first session. I think this is our first session. Okay, for history. Basically, I teach polity and ethics, but in history, this is my first. This is our first session. Our first session. It's not my first decision. Okay. So Tamil Nadu book, if you are not comfort, if you're not comfort, okay, no problem, no issue. You just, you can just start with this particular session. Okay. So before go to the beginning of the ancient history, first I will be dealing with the about the history. Basically, history which is divided in three parts: ancient, medieval, and modern. Okay. So in the ancient history, yes, if we talk about the weightage, if we talk about the weightage in the prelims as well as in the mains, yes, in the mains there are very less possibilities in the mains, but yes, there are possibilities of at least one question is being asked, because if we just analyze the previous year question, then we find that at least one to two question, at least one to two, sometimes three questions were there, but one to two questions must be there. Okay. So for mains perspective, I will also be dealing our the respective sessions, but in the prelims, the data, the terms, the terminologies of suppose in which is using in the ancient history, which is very very important. Okay. So for the ancient history, for the beginning, with respect to the beginning, I am just talking about the beginning part, or beginning, or in the sense when the earth evolved, when the earth evolved in that time. I will be start in the very beginning in manner, very beginning. Okay, so don't worry about that. And extra facts and figure I will be also discussing. So don't worry about that. And if you are not comfort with complete English, then I will try that I keep my language as simple as possible. So let's start this session. So beginning of the ancient history. Uh, First, I will be talking about the evolution of the world, evolution of world and the universe. Basically, if we just go through the past or go through the historical datas and the interpretations of the historians, then we find that about 4.5 billion, not million, billion years ago, the earth or the universe evolved. Okay. So if we just go through the one point, that is the first thing, that is evolution, evolution of evolution of earth and universe, then we find something that this earth this earth basically evolved around 4.5 Swami Sekar. uh, I've I can't take the guarantee, but yes, warranty. But yes, warranty. Maybe or may not be. Maybe, may not be. Okay. If your response is good, if your response is good, if your feedback is good, then definitely uh, I will be there. But if your response, if the numbers of watching, live watching is very less, less than 10, I think that time it will be uh, very subjective. Okay. So don't worry about, but still I'm taking class of your history. So don't worry about that. Okay. So about 4.5 billion years ago, the earth evolved. You don't need to go through the exact data. Yes, this data which is I'm using from the historical interpretations, or the data which is basically provided by the official books. Okay. So, and what about the living organisms? The earth evolutions. Good afternoon, Deepak. The earth evolution, which is basically we traced the 4.5 billion years ago. But what about the living organisms? Living organisms, which is basically traced the origin from the 3 billion before, or before Christ, we can say the 3 billion for living organism, for living organism. Actually, before starting the Stone Age or the historical period, prehistory, proto-history, or historical period, I just want to deal with the one very basic portions, very basic portion for the ancient history. Okay, so the evolution of the earth, evolution of the living organisms, and after that the settlements of the Homo sapiens. Okay, so first, if you get the idea of some things, the basic portions, then definitely it will be helpful for your in the further sessions. Okay, so living organisms, when we trace, then we find that the evolutions or the origins of the living organisms. That is, first is the apes in the form of apes. What is apes? Apes means chimpanzee. Okay, you have heard about chimpanzee. Okay, that is apes. Okay, so first living organisms is apes. Okay, in the evolution of human being, in the evolution of human being. So when we trace this one, then after we get Homo species. Homo species means, recently we have heard about the Neanderthals. Neanderthals basically, which is a human Homo species, which is related to the Homo species, and it is the contemporary of the Homo sapiens. And another one is sorry, one thing is, one another Homo species is Dono Seva or something which ऐसे कुछ नाम था. But the Neanderthals, which basically are related species of the Homo sapiens or Homo species. So apes. After the apes, we got the Homo species. Homo species, and this Homo species basically we traced, and some are very German geneticists who basically discovered the from the fossils of the Homo species, and about 4,000 to 30,000, sorry, 4 lakh thousand years ago, and between 30,000 this time period of the Neanderthals, and the Homo species, which is basically categorized in three ways up till now. So first is the Homo species, Homo sapiens, Homo sapiens, Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, Neanderthals. Third is Donoseva, Doniseva, I think Doniseva, something which is a number. Third is, so this is all about the Homo species. Yes, first, which is traced through the genome sequencing. First, if we talk about the Homo sapiens, that is basically traced in the 2003. And if we talk about the Neanderthals, this is basically 2010, and this is the 2008. This is the time period. Genome sequencing. And what is genome sequencing? Genome sequencing basically means when we study the genes of the cells or the DNAs. Okay, and but what about the Neanderthals? Neanderthal basically the species, Homo species, which basically extinct in the past, but right now we have some evidence. We have some we can say the fossils in terms of evidence, and we just go through the genome sequencing, and we get the result of the, yes, there are some species like for example, we have a jaguar. Okay, we have a jaguar, we have a tiger, we have a lion. Okay, so these are some kind of, we can say, the related species of Panthera. Okay, so just like this. Are you getting my point or not? Or you just thinking, sir, history is very tough? History is very tough, sir. You come to the point and start with the Stone Age and prehistoric, upper Paleolithic, lower Paleolithic, and Mesolithic, something like. So if you are not getting my point, don't worry about, because yes, this is very beginning in nature. And in the Tamil Nadu board, this, apart from this one, yes, this thing which is your, if you can find in your Tamil Nadu books also. Okay, so don't worry about. Next, when we go through this Homo species to Homo sapiens, this basically Homo species, this Homo species, which I just traced this Homo species in 30, in, sorry, not 30, 3 billion, 3 billion BC. Okay, and this Homo species, when human being evolved and human being got wise, and when human beings erected, okay, in that time the time was the 2 million, the 2 million, uh yes, not sorry, just a second, 30,000, okay, 30,000, around 30,000 BC, that is a sapiens. In between 3 billion to 30,000 BC, we have a Homo erectus time period. What is Homo erectus time period? So Homo erectus basically when human being, when human being or human, when human, or we can say in simply Homo erectus, Homo erectus, Homo erectus, erectus, okay. Erectus means when the spinal cord is not straight, not erect. That is a time zone when the species uh, usually bend in nature. Okay, so that is the human Homo erectus. So this is the very basic part. Now we move to the when we divide the history into three portions in the terms of the sources. In the terms of sources, the prehistory, proto-history, and the post, or we can say the simple terms, historical portions. Then when we divide these terms, when the history can be divided into three terms on the basis of the sources, on the basis of the what we get uh, till now. So prehistory, proto-history, and history. When we compare these three one, we find prehistory or prehistoric. Prehistoric, okay. Prehistoric. So in the prehistoric, when we do not have literary sources, it actually in the starting phase when Homo species are there. Homo species means when the human beings evolved. Okay, that is time period of 2 billion, 2 billion, sorry, 3 billion, 3 billion. Sorry. In that time, they human beings usually walk in the with four legs. Four legs means just like animal, means two hand and two legs. So that time also we can say, but completely stand with the feet and walk away. The time is the Homo sapiens. This is the time. This is the time. Homo sapiens. Okay. So this is the time period when completely human beings started walked with uh, the two legs, not using hand. And we can say first, the second thing that is this is also the time period Homo sapiens when human brains evolved. Human brains more active. uh, Basically what happens when you bend your spinal cord, okay, then your brain works less and less. In practically you can just, you can do experiment in your home, but when you straight and read something, okay, then your grasping power is more and more in that time. So yes, when the spinal cord is erect, okay, then that time we can say, or something we can say straight, then your brain works sharp and better. But when your spinal cord erect, not erect, bind in nature, then your brains works less as compared to the erect. Okay, so Homo sapiens basically, this is the time when this we can just compare this basically what happens, the today's era when we compare uh, you, me are there, okay. So we are Homo sapiens, okay. We are using our mind, you are using our mind, and you are using our mind, and we straight we walk in two legs, okay. There are something features are there, okay. So for prehistoric, what is prehistoric? Prehistoric means there is no literary sources, there is no any literary sources, and there is only archaeological evidences are there. So that is a time period, prehistoric, and this is basically we can say no literary, there is no literary sources, there is no literary sources, and we only rely on the archaeological evidence. What is archaeological? Yes, we come into the this point, but before that we first deal with the their time period, of the time period which is basically the history is divided. Okay, so the prehistory, which is basically there is no literary sources, and second one is proto history. Okay, proto history means basically where yes, there are sources, there are script, there are literary sources, but yet they are not yet deciphered. That is a proto history. Okay, so second one is proto history, and proto history, that is basically when we use, yes, there are literary sources, there are literary sources, but yet not deciphered. Deciphered. Okay, yet not deciphered. For example, Indus Valley civilization. Yes, there we have a numbers of script and archaeological evidences, but what the language, what the scripts are there, still we have not deciphered. So we can say yes, proto history, that means where where the literary sources are available, but we are not yet deciphered. And second one is the prehistory. That means no literary source are there. Only we depends or rely on the archaeological evidences. On this basis, we uh, just traced the time period. We just traced the cultures. We just traced the how were the political and economical situations. How are the cultures? How the way of life in the Indus Valley civilizations or the in the time of prehistory. So in the help of that archaeological evidence, we can trace this one. Okay, and the next we, which is proto history, that is which basically we have a, yes, we have a literary sources, but yet not deciphered. Okay, last one is the historical or history portions, and in the history or historical or in the history, in this time period, yes, we have a literary sources, we have a literary sources, and in the form of script, in the form of books, in the form of Vedas, in the form of anything. Okay, so memoirs, in the form of biography, in the form of court chronicles. So yes, we have a Indus Valley civilization. Yes, Stone Age. Yes, I will go to the this Stone Age portion, but before this, before starting the Stone Age, I will just go through the sources. What are the sources? Basically, when we uh, got the such evidences in the form of literary, in the form of archaeological evidence, and after that, when we just go through the types and the reconstruction of the past, then we go to the Stone Age. Stone Age, we further divide into three parts. Okay, and further which is divided into upper, lower, and middle path. So don't worry about, I will in this Tamil Nadu book session, what the sessions which is, I don't think this session is very lengthy in nature, but yes, about for the ancient history, the syllabus is very short. Don't make it very uh, tough, or don't make it chronicles. Not only chronicles. Chronicles means, but I used court chronicles. Court chronicles. Court chronicles means suppose we can say the uh, the record. Basically, this is a record of event. Suppose this there is a right now we have a rule of the BJP government. Okay, BJP government sometime organize some event which is based on the their party's interest. Okay, or which is based on the other interest as well. So this event, which is basically a record in the government data, in the or the party's in the party data, that records basically when the person after 100 years, when he will find, yes, there's some data regarding the BJP government or the BJP rule party, that is a court chronicles. Means the ruling party or the ruling government or the ruler or the empire having some event which is organized by him, that event which is basically stored in the record form or the data form, that is a court chronicles. Okay, that is a court chronicles. Okay, now come to the next, that is a history. That is history which is basically we have a literary sources, we have a manuscript, we have a manuscript, manuscript, we have a inscription, scripts, we have a inscription, inscription, we have a inscriptions, we have a coins, we have a coins, etc. Okay, so these are the history, or we have the, in the history we have a literary sources in the form of manuscript, in the form of inscription, in the form of coins. Okay, so on the basis of sources, on the basis of when the basis of the sources, yes, we just categorize history into three parts: prehistory, proto, and history part. Okay, and we have just categorized this one. It's a very basic portions. Okay, now come to the next, that is a what is the uh, how history, or how the past reconstruct. When we study the past, how the past reconstruct, where we study, yes, what are the methods, what are the first, what is the archaeology. And this archaeology basically categorized into two portions, two side. First is methods, what is the methods which was being used in the past for the excavation of the monuments, archaeological sites, or the literary sources. Okay, and what are the sources? First, what is method? For example, carbon dating method, carbon C14. Okay, DNA sequencing, and anthropology. That is a three method. Okay, so I will definitely discuss this one. So first thing, what is when the past has been reconstructed, then that time, in the initial phase, I will not go to the very basic data and facts, like for like SSC and other exams, like yes, there are Mashani 1921, 1922, Aris Devanich. I will not go through these facts and figures, but yes, ancient history I will be providing, or I will be discussing in such a manner that yes, first, uh, the main focus is in the conceptual part. Okay, conceptual part, because I am not only focused on the prelims, I also focus on the mains portion also. So that's why I'm only I don't go through the one level exam, means one day exam, or the prelims only perspective. I will also focus on the mains as well. Okay, as well as the interview. So yes, this is a, but history is, I think, first time uh, you are studying the history from my side. But yes, this is not very easy for me, because I am, as usual, as a teacher of polity, current affairs, editorial, ethics, history. Yes, this is very boring from my side, but yet uh, I have a great responsibility to teach history. So don't worry about. Okay. Now come to the reconstructing the past. Okay, reconstructing the past, reconstructing, constructing the past, reconstructing the past. So first, I will go to the terms. What is archaeology? What is archaeology? What is archaeology? Archaeology basically means the words which is derived from the Greek words archos, or we can say archois. Okay, archos means ancient, or we can say old. Okay, ancient or old. So basically, this word derives from the archois. Okay, kh. Okay, and this basically means ancient, ancient, ancient. That means old. Okay, and this archaeology basically divided into two parts on the basis of methods which is used by the different archaeologists, and next one is sources. Next one is sources. So what are the sources and what are the methods which was being used in the past? So when we go through the when we go through the first thing, this is basically two parts. Okay, first is the what is the sources or what is the method, or what second is sources. So by which method we have a numbers of archaeological evidences, we have numbers of history sources. Okay, in first session, every faculties start with the sources of the history. Okay, what are the source, what are the what we get the idea of the history, what we get the idea with respect to the way of life, with respect to the political life, economical life. Okay, what are the trading areas. Okay, what are the other factors also, what are the declining, what are the reason behind declining, those aspects, those things which we will get through the sources of historical sources. So what are the sources? Yes, we have different sources. We have a sources in terms of prehistory, in terms of proto history, in terms of history. And yes, we have already been discussed about, we have a the literary sources, we have a direct sources, we have a indirect sources are there. Okay, so in terms of what are the archaeology basically, which is further divided into methods and sources. What methods the archaeologist was used to traced or excavated the archaeological sources or the literary sources. Okay, so first I will go through the methods. Second, I will go to the sources. Okay, so yes, now the class begin. This is the beginning part. Okay, so I think 30 minutes, around 30 minutes, which is for the introduction part. In a simple way, we can say this is the introduction part. Now the class begin. Now the class begin. Actually, when you start to taking class for UPSC, then every faculty just start with the this portion, that means archaeology, what is the sources, what are the methods. Basically in the methods part, numbers of faculties don't want to go to the what are the methods, what are scientific methods. Okay, DNA, we call DNA is basically part of the biology. But yes, we have a I am very privileged person, because I will definitely be discussed the DNA sequencing. Okay, and the how the C carbon dating C14, which is work. Okay, what is carbon 14? Basically having same isotope, different mass number. Okay, that is it. You have already studied about, if you just passed out in class 12 with science. Yes, but I'm just trying. I'm just trying to uh, just we can say in simple words. In simple words, make the history as simple as the words and the terms in layman terms when we study the history. But yes, your response is very important. If your response is not uh, with my expectations, then yes, definitely I have to more hard work in in this subject. Okay, so what about the methods? Okay, first I will go to the methods. So in the methods, there are three methods. First is the C14, or in simple terms we can say carbon dating method. Carbon dating method. What happens in carbon dating method? In carbon dating methods, uh, the fossils, what we have, the fossils, all the events, uh, organisms having a carbon. Okay, but the fossils have a carbon, and fossils have a carbon. And if we just want to check or trace the time period of that particular fossils or the stone. Okay, so we have to analyze the in terms of carbon C14. Okay, what is carbon C14? C14 basically isotope, having we use the same isotope, same atomic number, which is basically isotope of carbon, having a same atomic number. Okay, and different different mass number. What happens C14? C14 basically one date is decided. The date is the half date of carbon. Half date of carbon means 5568. 5568 is the half year of carbon. Half year. Okay. And this date is half. Suppose the disintegration of the carbon. Suppose the body is there. Okay. Suppose body is there, and the body is started disintegrate. Okay. Then what happens? The C14 carbon, which also disintegrate over the time, and when the time was over for 5568, this is the half time, or we can say half, we can say the half carbon dating number. So this, if this is half carbon dating number, if you double this one, that means a full carbon dating number. So this is the time when the carbon dating, and this can only be measured for the fossils, not living organisms. Suppose we are living, okay, we cannot use C14 carbon dating methods with myself, with other self, okay, because this method, which is only used in for fossil fuel, sorry, fossil not fuel, for fossils, okay. So 5568, that is the half number, and with this C14, this is the carbon dating method by which we can say we have a uh, by which we can trace the time period, we can trace the time period of uh, the fossils, okay. Fossils time period, fossils time period, that is we can trace by the carbon C14 dating method, okay. So this is the all about. Now come to the next, that is a DNA. What is DNA? DNA, I mean to say, DNA studies. Uh, Scientists also studies the DNA part, and by the study of DNA part, the scientists come to the conclusion that yes, through the DNA sequencing or genome engineering, okay, genome sequencing means study of the genes, okay, and the genes basically talks about the yes, what is suppose we use the term what your parents. Yes, Akansha, very good afternoon. So by the DNA studies, the scientist also comes to the conclusion that yes, this is the method, this also be the method to trace the time period of fossils, okay. So next is the in second, okay. Second is DNA studies. DNA study. Please make the notes of this session, because this session, when you study the, because some suppose when you use YouTube for your study, I have strongly requested to you, please go please have a notebook and pen when you just watch this watching the videos of any sessions, okay. Make notes and use those videos on single time, not multiple times, okay. Because there are numbers of videos, there are numbers of classes, but if you maintain, if you uh, make itself very more sincere, because and it can be possible through using your notebook and pen, okay. So always have a pen and notebook, and by this way you can definitely we have a great edge with the marks, okay. Now come to the next, that is the DNA studies. Through these studies, we have a first thing, that is through genome engineering, in terms of genome sequencing. If we also recently we have witnessed the Neanderthals, that is a related species of Homo sapiens, or sorry, Homo species, okay. Uh, Second one is another is something like a Dono Seva, something like this. So this is basically a and this can be possible through the DNA sequencing or genome sequencing. But Neanderthals, which is basically extinct in nature, in the 12 classes, we right today we have a topic of the Nobel Prizes of the medicines and the physics. So we have two topics. So yes, definitely in the next classes we are going to study in the with the Nobel Prizes. Okay, in the which field and what are the whole mechanisms in the medicine and in the physics. Okay, so in this DNA studies, we basically focused on genome engineering or sequencing. And in this and through this DNA studies, we come to the conclusion that yes, the persons, the fossils which we have the persons having a something have some nature's internal characteristics. By this DNA studies, we come to the or we get the characteristics of some particular persons which is belong to that particular time period. So in the genome engineering or DNA studies, we get a inner characteristic characteristics. That is a second. Okay, basically this is a method. These are the methods which is being used in the past to trace the time period of the uh, we can say the fossils. Okay, first is C14 carbon dating method, second is DNA studies, and third one is the anthropology. Third one is the anthropology. Anthropology. Okay, anthropology means basically to study the human behavior or human character externally. Anthropology, when we use the anthropology, we basically focused on the external part. Okay, external part. And in the DNA studies, we basically focus on the internal part. Okay, so here to study human character, human character, and here we focus on the external external means what are the strength physical in terms of. So we focused on the anthropology in the external part or human character, and in the DNA portions we basically focus on the inner characteristics. Okay, what the uh, how the genome sequencing, how the genes, how the DNAs are there. Okay, uh, and in by which and by the help of this we come to the conclusion that yes, we have a something like sequencing. Suppose the some genes, some parents genes come to the child or they come to the baby, we easily can trace yes, this if this baby has some characteristics, definitely we come to the conclusion that yes, the parents of this child having some types of characteristics. So that is basically this so DNA studies, anthropology, and the C14, that is a method in the archaeology by which we basically trace the time period of the fossils, or basically we trace the time period of the archaeological evidences or the seals tools which have their. Okay, so this is the methods part. Now come to the sources. So sources basically when the history classes, when anybody any faculty start, definitely start with the sources part. Okay, start with the sources part, and this thing we don't focus in the initial phase, but yes, this is the right sequence, and the right method to deal with the ancient history. Okay, come to the next, that is the sources. Okay, what are the sources? What are the sources? So there are number of sources. Like we have a literary sources, we have a court chronicles, we have a memoirs, that means biography, and we have a religious text, we have a travelogues, we have a secular literatures, we have a archival. So we have a number of sources, and if we talk about the one by one, that means first I will go through the first was, that is literary sources. Okay, literary sources, or we can say uh, our artifacts. Okay, what are the artifacts, what are the inscriptions, what are the sorry, yes, inscriptions, what are the architecture monument, what are the coins. Okay, so first I will go through the archaeological sources. In the archaeological sources, we have a first the sources we can divide into two parts. First is the archaeological sources and second is the literary sources. So archaeological sources basically which having not in the written form, having not any script. Okay, so the archaeological sources we have a four categories. Okay, and in the literary sources we have a numbers of we can say the categories. So first we go through the archaeological sources. Okay, this basically divided into two parts. Archaeological sources, and the second one is the literary sources. Literary sources. Okay, first I will deal with the archaeological sources. What is archaeological sources? So in this archaeological sources we have a first thing that is a artifacts. We have first artifacts. What is artifacts? Artifacts means artifacts means in simple term we can say goods. Okay, goods in terms of ornament, in terms of uh, paintings, in terms of tools. Okay, in terms of goods, in terms of paintings, 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 tools, tools, ornaments, ornaments, ornaments. That is basically comes under the artifacts. Okay, so in the archaeological sources we have a almost four category. First is artifacts, inscriptions, inscription, architecture and monuments, and fourth is coins. And literary sources we have a numbers of categories. We come to the literary part, but first I will be dealing with the these portions. So in the first we have seen artifacts. In the first artifacts we have seen goods, painting in terms of Bhimbetka cave paintings are there. Okay, that is comes under the artifacts and it comes under the archaeological sources. Tools are there. Tools in terms of suppose we have a Paleolithic age. Okay, in the Paleolithic age we have a upper, middle, and lower, and we have a different tools in terms of size, in terms of weight. So yes, we have a different tools are there. We have a different tools shape are there. That is basically artifacts, and it comes under the archaeological sources. Second one, second one is inscription. 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 In the inscription, there are numbers of inscription. For example, we have a Ashokan inscription. Okay, we have a Ashokan inscription, and Ashokan inscription we found in the two languages, Brahmi or Kharoshthi. Brahmi basically which is basically written in the right, sorry, not right, left to right, and Kharoshthi which is basically written in the left to right to left. Okay, so but one question once UPSC is asked in prelims, the study of the epigraphy and regarding the writings of the sorry, inscription. So when we study about the inscription, that is called the epigraphy. When we study, okay, the study of the inscription, that is called epigraphy. Epigraphy. And the writing, when we come to the writing portion, when we come to the writing portion, we study when we study the inscription, then we find this one is a paleography. Okay, the study of the writing of the inscription, the study of the writing of the inscription, that is a paleography, and the study of the inscription only, that is a epigraphy. Paleography. Okay, that is a two part. In the Ashokan we have a Brahmi. Okay, it's just an example only. It's just an example only. Pali language, Brahmi language, Kharoshthi language also. Okay, Kharoshthi language also. So the Brahmi, second is Kharoshthi. Kharoshthi, that means right to left, and this one is left to right. I also confused this one, okay, sometime, but this is right. Okay, don't worry about it. Yes. Now come to the next portion, that is the come to the next and the next inscription, monuments and archaeological, or sorry, architecture. Monuments and architecture. Monuments, monuments and architecture. Architecture, architecture. Monuments and architecture. What is the monuments and architecture? For example, we have numbers of temples. Art and culture, you have already heard or seen in a, or a study about the suppose we have a Dravidian lifestyle. Okay, Dravidian style. Okay, we have a Nagara temples. That is a comes under the architecture or monuments. Okay, so we have a different categories. For example, we have a Dravid, Dravida, and Nagar. Nagar bus, but in English we usually read Nagara. Okay. Nagara temple. So Dravida and Nagara, that is a good example, or good we can say they are very famous in terms of the monuments and architectures. So that is the monuments and architecture. Last one is the coins. And coins, the study of the coins, the study of the coins is the numismatic. Okay, the study of the coin is numismatic. The study of the coins is study of the coins is numismatics. Numismatics. So we have a different of coins. For example, in the Gupta time, there is a time of coins revolution. Okay, gold coins are very printed or issued in that time period. Okay, that's why we usually called the golden time period. Okay, so uh, there are numbers of coins. Okay, but Gupta time period is very prominent because this time is a golden time period. So I am just go through the example because I don't go to the deep because this is the very initial phase. I just go through the sources, such type of sources are there, and briefly we take an example, one or two examples in sources. Okay, there are numbers of example. I will go through this chapter in chapter wise. Anil, a very good afternoon. So 4, so 2:55 means almost 3. So this is all about the uh, archaeological sources and literary sources. Yes, definitely I will be discuss tomorrow, but today for today's I think this is the first of ancient history class, and I think you really enjoyed this particular class, and let's continue the next class in the by tomorrow, and 3 p.m. we have our 12 classes, so please do join that particular session, and I think you really enjoyed this particular session. So please do comment offline comment. Please do offline comment in this particular session. And yes, again we will meet after 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vivek, Anil, uh, Swami Shekhar, and Divya. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah. ये क्लासेस ही में